Oh, we are live, 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 live. So I don't even know how many people are gonna get on here because I am super late night crafting and I hardly ever, ever, ever go live on YouTube. But I am making this tray that I'm going to add some embellishments to. And I had someone ask me earlier about embellishments in the tray. So I'm going to see if I can turn this. Okay, there we go. So I am going to do a rolling tray for you guys live, and I'm going to add some embellishments to it. Like I said, I don't know how many people are going to get on because I'm hardly ever live on YouTube. I usually go live on Facebook, but I didn't want to make this tray by myself tonight. And because I had someone ask me earlier about um, how I do um, basically my inclusions on a tray, I decided to do it for you guys live on YouTube tonight. So you might be able to wake up in the morning and see it, who knows. But we're going to be doing the tray. It's already painted. It already has the artwork on it. I did this one at 8.5 by 5.5 because I knew that I wanted to line it with the diamonds. And I'm using diamonds that I had in the ornament that I made for Christmas that I'm dismantling and putting them to better use than sitting in the ornament. So first we're gonna do the epoxy and then I'll worry about how to get some more of these out of there. So we have this epoxy that I am using. Okay, that is the catalyst, the hardener, and this is the actual resin. Okay, so basically part A and part B. I already have them sectioned out in my little medicine cups that I use, and I have my popsicle stick. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and get those mixed all up. Um, each epoxy that you use will require somewhat of different timing for mixing. This particular one requires that you mix for 3 minutes. So this unfortunately is the boring part. And because I'm live, I can't speed it up for you. But like I said, there's probably not going to be a lot of people that come on and watch live because it's late and I usually am not live on YouTube. But something tells me to just go live on YouTube tonight um, while I make this tray. I actually have three that I need to make. I've already started on one. And it's very cold in California, and epoxy likes warm weather. So I have the heater on like 80. So it is like super warm in here. But I'm okay with that because it's going to keep my epoxy smooth and it's going to help to prevent bubbles. I already have one sitting over here that is starting to cure. The fat one. People are getting their orders in already for Valentine's Day. And so now we're going to mix. I like to go in the same direction. The slower you mix, the less bubbles you get. Um, However, I have my heating tool here, and so we'll be able to remove the bubbles. I go around and I try to keep stirring in the same direction, and I always make sure that I'm scraping the sides of the cup. This little cup is a 9 ounce cocktail cup that I got from Amazon. I got like maybe I think 900 of these for like 30 bucks, which isn't bad. They're disposable and recyclable, so I can toss them out. The same with the medicine cups. I got a big sleeve of those from Amazon. and they're perfect for mixing or measuring your mixture. Because with epoxy, you want to make sure that part A and part B are equal. Um, and again, epoxy does like a warm temperature. So when it's warm, it is so much better for you to mix. Usually, if you try to do this in very cold conditions, your hardener will be very, very sticky, making it harder for you to actually mix them together. And so I usually either turn my heater up or I'll open the oven in the kitchen, or sometimes I'll even just turn on my heat press for a little bit in here. And I'll let the heat press kind of warm the kitchen up if I don't want to have the heater on. But it's like 40 degrees here, and 40 degrees in California is super cold. I know in other states, in like 40 degrees is nothing, but to us, that is freezing cold. So I got the heater on 80 right now, guys. And so we're just mixing. You want to make sure that you get a good mix. I've been doing this long enough to be able to kind of look and see like, okay, yeah, I've been mixing um, for 3 minutes, or I've mixed it well enough to where it is going to cure correctly. If you do not mix correctly, you will get dents and sticky spots within your tray. It will not be smooth, and you'll have wasted product. And so I make sure that my mix is good. And again, the slower you mix, the less bubbles you get. Of course, the faster you mix, the more bubbles you're going to get because you're taking up more air. But you can do what we call degassing to get rid of the bubbles, either with a torch or with a heating gun or a blow dryer. You can put your blow dryer on low if you don't, you know, want to spend the money on the heating tool. They're about 23 bucks on Amazon, at least the one that I use is from Chandler Tools. I love it. I use it for anything that I have to have heat for, whether it's shrink wrapping or doing epoxy. Okay. So when I look, I want to make sure that it is fluid. The epoxy itself, when you mix part A and part B, creates a chemical reaction that does produce heat. So you will feel that your cup will be a little warm. That's not just from you holding it. That is the actual part A and part B um, mixing and starting its chemical reaction. So once you have it mixed, then we have it mixed exactly the way that we need it to be. It's fluid. It's running out. It looks cloudy, but it is actually very clear. It just has its bubbles in it, okay? And we'll get rid of those. So the first thing that I do is I start on my corners. And I want to move some of this stuff out of my way to give me a little bit more room. And I'm going to cover the full tray. So I start in the corners so that I can let my epoxy run down. Epoxy is self-leveling. It will find itself. It likes to bond with its brethren. And that's just generally how I started. You can start any way you like, and then I go around and I start doing my sides. On these Dollar Tree trays, it's a little lip here that kind of helps you keep the epoxy from going over. And I just go in, and I'm gonna rub. Some people use a silicone brush. I like to use these popsicle sticks. I've tried the silicone brush, and I just feel like the popsicle stick gives me more control. And so I like to use this. The silicone brushes are reusable. You can reuse the popsicle stick as well. It'll just be hard because the epoxy will cure to it. But also, as you can see, I have down plastic bags so that I do not ruin my little kitchen table here, my makeshift kitchen aisle. because epoxy does not cure well to plastic bags and to most plastics. Some plastics it'll cure too, but plastic bags and silicone, you won't have an issue. That's why some people use a silicone brush. So I'm just going around the sides and kind of making it fill in up the sides. And then I always save a little bit, um, even after I've done the middle of the tray, just to make sure that there aren't any spots on the side that are missed. And I usually go through and do that after I do my degassing. And we're actually going to add the jewels into the epoxy and let the epoxy act as a glue for us. So now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to do my middle, and I kind of spread it out even though it will find itself. I want an even thin layer across the center of the tray, just to make sure that it's going to have equal weight. It'll be balanced. Some people ask, do you have to coat the tray with epoxy? And my answer is always going to be yes if you plan on selling these to somebody, because the epoxy will make it last forever. And it gives these Dollar Tree trays more weight. It gives them the feel of being more expensive, and they're easier to handle. Without the epoxy, I mean, you could drop these things the wrong way and they get a dent, or they warp. But covering the whole tray with epoxy helps to prevent those things. So I'm going through and I'm just filling in little holes. We are live, so there is a live chat if you guys want to ask me questions. Hey, Miss Katrina, honey. So now I'm just going through and I'm filling any spots that I see um, that don't have any epoxy in it before I do my degassing. And then after we degas, we'll look again and see. Because we have it so warm in here, this one is curing, I mean, just almost perfectly. There's not any bubbles that are rising to the surface yet. I am going to hit it again with the heating tool after I degas this one, just because. Alright, so now we're going to do our heating tool. And you should be able to see, you may be able to see the bubbles disappearing. And I'm not right on, like, directly on top of the epoxy. You get too close to it with this hot heating tool and you'll see it start to smoke. And you don't want to have to breathe in those fumes. If you are ever working with epoxy and you start to get a headache or you get dizzy, please step away, open up a window, walk outside, and get some fresh air. Also, try to use it in small batches. I don't do more than 5 trays at a time. The same thing with painting the trays. I don't do more than 5 at a time. I do everything in small batches. It's just better that way for your health. And I'm going to go just to the side just to make sure that I filled up all the holes. One little spot over here. And anytime that you add to it after you've degassed it, you're going to have to go in and do it again to get those bubbles out. Now I'm going to go and give this one a little love too. There's a few little bitty bubbles that pop. And I'm just gonna look and make sure that this one is level. And I'm actually going to take the top of one of my containers and I'm gonna sit this middle one on top of it because this tray looks like it is favoring one side. And I don't want it to do that. Good night, Minnie. All right, we look like we're good there. And we're gonna get ready to start laying the diamonds. I'm gonna give this tray over here just another little hit. All right. So I'm gonna pop a couple more of these out of here, hopefully. These are diamonds that I had inside of this Christmas ornament that I'm popping them out of so that I can use them. Christmas is over, and we might as well put them to good use. Okay. So again, the epoxy is going to act as a glue for us with these. Okay. And I'm going to lay them down. Just eyeballing the spacing. And trying to keep it close to the corner. And I'm just using some tweezers that came with a weeding set that I have to pick them up so I don't have to use my fingers. And stick my fingers in the epoxy. And I don't care if epoxy gets on top of them. And now we're going to do the other side. It's tedious, but once you get it down, it goes pretty quick. But it is a tedious process. But the tray comes out so pretty. So pretty and shiny and sparkly. And the epoxy is going to hold them in. Now this is a vanity tray. Now, if the person wants to, they can actually roll on this if they want. If they want. Completely up to them. That's kind of why I'm giving that space in between the diamonds so that their product won't be too stuck if they decide to use it as a rolling tray. She wants to display this at her birthday party. On a stand, and I'm going to provide the stand. It's one of those little stands I got from the Dollar Tree. And she will display it at her birthday party. Oh, that was there. And these jewels came from Michael's. Of course, I got them on a 50% off coupon. So I can't tell you what the regular price is. Use a 50% off coupon. They came out to maybe about $5. And I got a big old jar of them. Like I still have tons left. Alright, so now we're going to do the top. The bottom we are actually going to kind of like cluster. That's the idea that I have in my head. To cluster them. And I'm making sure that all of the diamonds face me, so that When the tray is displayed, the diamonds will be facing outward, and the light will hit them, and it'll be super pretty. This one I don't want to cover her. I need too much. Looks like I may have to keep my design down there. Not too much longer for the top. And again, I'm just like, I'm eyeballing for the spacing. And while you're still in this stage here, the curing stage, you can go through and kind of like move them around if you feel like, um, oh, I picked up some with my gloves. We're going to get these and put them right there. And again, I don't care if they get epoxy on the top of them. The epoxy is going to dry clear. And it'll probably give them a little bit more shine, to be honest. And we'll use our heating tool to degas any bubbles that we create by moving them around so much. Now, come on. We're almost to the finish line, baby. Alright, so now we got our top and our sides. And now, my idea for the bottom is to kind of cluster them. And I have a couple of big ones that are in the ornament that I don't know that I'll be able to get out. I'm going to stick the thing in there and see if I can get them out. I don't know why I had the right idea to stick them in there. Because they're really big. But nope, only the small ones want to come out. So we won't be using those, but we're going to cluster the bottom, basically. Oh, come on. So the bottom basically is going to have 2 rows, whereas the side and the top has 1. And I'm going to kind of like, tilt them, but make sure that they're still facing me. And I just keep picking these up with my glue. I want them to still be facing outward towards me. So that again, when you look at the tray, you can see the bling bling cloud. And I still want you to be able to see the words at the bottom. So it's just all about like placement. I wish I could just throw them on here. I might be able to do that and just kind of like move them around, but I may end up messing something up or doing something I really don't want to do. So just going through and placing them. Again, it's tedious, but the end result will be gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I'm kind of putting these in, tilting them. But again, making sure that they're still facing me. And I'm just bringing down with me. There we go. Bring them on down. Her theme is Winter Wonderland, Icy Winter. So I came up with the idea of adding the diamonds on to really give some ice to the winter. And again, she can still use this as a rolling tray. She just has, she'll have to roll directly in the middle of it, because I'm not going to saturate the diamonds in epoxy. We're just using the epoxy to adhere them. That's all. The epoxy is acting as our glue. And I want to make sure all those are facing me. Yeah, this will be a replay. Thank you so much. Let me see. I don't know why it won't keep y'all comments up there. How many coats of epoxy do you do? One. It's only going to get one coat of epoxy because I don't want to saturate the diamonds in it. Sometimes when you have these um, false diamonds, especially like the sticky ones, the ones that stick, um, if you saturate them with epoxy, they become very dull. They lose their shine. These won't, because they're a different kind of diamond, but she wants this as a vanity tray. So um, there's really no need to saturate the diamonds. And because of the type of diamonds these are, to saturate them, girl, I would have to use so much epoxy. This tray would be ridiculously heavy. To me, it would just be like a big waste of product to get these actually saturated. And I don't know if I answered, but yes, I will leave this up. This live is going to be up here on YouTube. Usually I'm not live on YouTube, so I wanted to show you guys a little love because I had to do this project. And recently I had somebody ask me about inclusions on the tray, basically like diamonds and things like that, and how I did them. And so I figured, what better time than now to do it for you guys. Oh, that's gonna be dope. Doop doop. And then I'll go through and um, just like degas again, because I see a bubble right by my W that I want to get rid of. Anytime that you're moving the epoxy around a lot, that can happen. And we're moving it around by adding the diamonds in. And I'm gonna put it up on a surface like this also, because I think this is, usually I'm on my kitchen table when I do this, and I'm like in the kitchen aisle, and I think this table is leaning because I feel like on this tray a lot of epoxy is here in the corner, which means that my epoxy won't be level. When you use epoxy, you want to be on a level surface because it will all run towards um, where it can get, like, where it feels like it's level. And we're going to add another one over here in the corner. And I might throw a little bit more epoxy that I have left in my cup down over here, because I feel like a lot of it's over there. So I have a little bit more left in the cup. I'm going to heat it up because it's starting to cure. And this will make it a little bit more fluid for me. And this is just what's left over from what we were already using. And I'm just going to go around and give it some more love. Also, so we don't waste the product. I can't use it on the next tray because it's already starting to cure. And I'll go through and heat this up. Make sure we degas it. Get rid of the bubbles. Use it all. This stuff is not cheap, but I did get a deal on it today at Michael's. I'm always having to fight somebody about my deal because the Michael's employee act like he wasn't going to honor my Joann's coupon. Honey, the devil is a liar. When I add it to the top, I noticed these move down a little bit. So I'm just working back into the way that I want them. Okay, all the diamonds are facing me. So the bling blow is there. When I do use the heating gun or the torch, and I can't find my big torch, so I've been using this lighter that's a torch, just kind of to go through and get the little bubbles that the torch can't get. And I'm not directly like on the epoxy. I'm on top of it, hovering over. Right, and we're gonna put this one up going to a top as well. I like to use these tops because they have these little hunches here that keep it even. I'm gonna turn it so you guys can see it from the front. And these, we do not want those there, messing up our levelness. Again, it's self-leveling, it'll find itself, and that's why sitting it on top of these, if it's not level, it will level itself out. Also, you can kind of bend down and look just to see where you have like any pooling or anything like that, to see like which side that is going to. But that is our blinged out tray. And once it cures and stuff, I'll take pictures and post. I'm not gonna move it too much right now. These little containers I got from the Dollar Tree, and I just use the tops of them, like I said, because it has those little points, and it keeps it level. It's not on the table. I think this table kind of leans a little bit, even though looking at it you can't tell. It looks like my epoxy was kind of favoring this corner, so that meant that the table was leaning this way. The same with the other one that I did, so that's why I moved it. Let me make sure. I don't know why my chat's not staying up, you guys. No, that's not photo paper. That is waterproof sticker paper. Miss Davis. It's waterproof sticker paper. So I use waterproof sticker paper from onlinelabels.com. To do all of my trades, I use it to do my Grand Uno games. I mean everything, because I love the color of the paper. I took this picture into a program that's similar to Photoshop. I couldn't afford the real Photoshop at the time, and so I have this program called Magic X, and it's supposed to be like Photoshop's cousin, but it's a lot less expensive. And I removed this was a flyer, so I made this from a flyer for her actual birthday party, and it had the date and the time and the address and all that stuff on it. And I went into the program and I removed it, and then I took it into Cricut and I sized it. This is sized at 8.5 by 5.5, because I wanted to give myself room around the corners and the top and the bottom, to be able to add the diamonds in without covering up too much of the picture. Could have went down a little bit more up here. You can still see her name up there, but I kind of would have liked to be able to see it more. But it's done now. And I have one more tray that I have to do. So y'all let me know if y'all want to see me do that tray, or if y'all want Gucci to get off of the line. I have one more to do, which would be this one, the couples tray. It's actually the same girl that's from the party one. So you guys let me know in the chat if you want me to stay on and show you how I do this. Now I do have a video that I'm trying to upload to YouTube, imported from iMovie, but it keeps telling me that my phone doesn't have enough memory enough storage to import the movie. I deleted so much stuff, and it still won't import it. It's a video. It's about a 30-minute video where I go over just how to epoxy the tray, just epoxy, nothing else. You just go over in that video how to epoxy the tray, because I have so many requests from people that just want to see me epoxy it, nothing else. So I got y'all with me. I don't see anything in the chat, but it keeps, I don't know how to keep the chat up. I need to go live on YouTube more so I know how to work it better. I can work the heck out of Facebook Live, but I want to get this done so I can turn that heater down a little bit, honey, because I am starting to sweat in here. But the heat keeps my tray smooth, so I suffer. But I know many of you get ready to try to turn that thing off in a minute. Viewing options. No. Some messages such as potential spam may not be. Live chat. Oh, you welcome, Miss Zena. So I added part A and part B in. I didn't even tell y'all what I was doing. I just did it, robot. I added part A and part B in. I'm not gonna. I have to keep mixing that, but this is the epoxy that I'm using. And y'all, I got these big old bottles. These are $69.99 at Michael's, but I pulled out that Joanne coupon for 50% off, and then Michael's had a coupon for 20% off your entire purchase, honey. And I walked out paying $28.99 for those bottles, which is cheaper than the smaller set that they have of those for $35. So I basically got 70% off of the epoxy. So I think that I'm going to go back tomorrow and buy another one at 70% off, because I mean you can't beat it. That's 64 fluid ounces altogether, so a gallon of epoxy. The smaller bottles I can make about 8 to 10 trays with, so this one I'll probably be able to make about 20 trays with. And I do have a really big pending order that's coming up, so it would probably behoove me to go and do that. But I mixed part A and part B together. You have to make sure that you have equal parts, as I said earlier in the video, if you missed it. If you don't have equal parts, you'll end up with a sticky tray, or spots in the tray, dimples and dents, where the tray will not cure completely. And even, I don't know if I mentioned to you guys, but even when you go through and you degas, you have to let your tray rest a minute, so that if there are any bubbles that are under the surface, the bubbles will come up and you'll be able to get rid of them. So don't just think you can epoxy your tray, degas it, and then go to bed or go about your business or do whatever. You want to kind of monitor the tray for at least the first 30 minutes at least. If you can do an hour, that's even better, but monitor for at least the first 30 minutes, because you don't want to go to bed and wake up and then you're like, I got rid of all the bubbles and here's this big old fisheye bubble on my tray, and I just would not sell a tray like that. And so to me, the entire tray will be gone, and it'll be a waste of product, because now I have to repaint my tray, I have to reprint out the picture or recut the vinyl that's going to go on it, and then re-epoxy. And so that's going to set you back by 3 days, because I give my clients, I give myself 3 to 5 days for these trays, just in case I have other orders. But it's really, it can be a 3-day turnaround. You get your tray, you spray paint your tray, you let that dry for 24 hours, bring the tray in the house, or from the garage or wherever it is. I hope you're painting outside. Please spray paint outside, not in the house. And after that 24 hours, you can go ahead and put down your artwork, whether it's going to be the waterproof sticker paper, printable vinyl. Some people even use regular paper. I don't like the way the colors come out when you use regular paper because I use the 7720 pigment dye, and it just regular paper. It just don't look good on it to me. The colors aren't as vibrant. But you lay down your artwork, and then you go ahead and you epoxy, and you let the epoxy dry for 24 to 48 hours. Now, in the summertime, my epoxy will dry 24 hours, no problem. What I've noticed that in the winter, um, I don't really like to use epoxy because I have to have the house so hot in order to keep it smooth, in order for it to cure correctly, because epoxy likes heat. And so for me, epoxy is more of a summer craft. But if you do this as a business, then, business is open for all seasons. So you just kind of have to work around it. So we're almost done with this. Because it is so hot in here, our epoxy has that fluidness that we need it to have. When you look at it on the camera, it looks like, oh, it's so cloudy. And I've even had somebody comment like that on one of my videos, but it's not cloudy. It is actually very, very clear, and it has the fluidness that we need. This particular epoxy wants you to mix for 3 minutes. If you are just starting out, I suggest you put a timer on your phone or go to the Dollar Tree and get a timer and do your mixing for 3 minutes, just to make sure that you have it mixed properly. If you do not mix it properly, you're wasting product because it's not going to cure correctly. But again, you can do trays in a 3-day turnaround. I've seen people talk about a week, 2 weeks. Honey, no. Get on your job. 3 days. I give 3 days, a 3-day turnaround. All right. So this is good and mixed. Let me make sure, because y'all comments don't stay up. I don't know why. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any. You're welcome, Miss Davis. All right, so now we're getting ready to epoxy this tray. And I'm going to keep trying, you guys, to upload that video of me just epoxying the tray. But this live is going to stay on YouTube as well. So make sure, if you haven't subscribed to the Gucci Crafts channel, that you do subscribe. Give my video a thumbs up. That's what the YouTubers say. Give my video a thumbs up and hit the bell. Do all that. All right. So we're ready. Again, I'm going to start with my corners. If you notice, this tray, I'm actually doing it the long way because of the type of picture that I was given. And I can turn it around so that you guys can see the actual picture. It doesn't matter to me which way. And I start this. And this is kind of like a grungy black that I did. I left some parts of it a little bit of gray where the silver shines through. But I always go through and I do my corners first. It's just a habit that I have. And it works for me. Helps me to manage the level of epoxy that I'm using. And I use that outer lip. You hear that scratching sound? That's me going through the little rivets on the tray, making sure every little crevice has the epoxy on it. That's going to help you with the weight of your tray because you want your tray to have an even weight. That's why I put those other ones on top of the lids, because I do want the tray to have an even weight. I don't want one side of the tray to just have a whole bunch of epoxy on it. And then the other corners have nothing or very little in it. I want it to be evenly weighted. So I'm just going through and I'm doing my inseams now. Just making sure those are covered. And I always leave a little bit in the cup because sometimes you don't get all of those. And I'm just using the lip. A lot of people ask me, how do you get it not to run over? There's a lip right there that's going to stop it from running over if you don't oversaturate it. You want that epoxy to go on there and basically run down. If you notice when I'm putting it on the top, some of it is just is running down, and that's what we want. And if you ever do go over the lip, you can clip your popsicle stick and just run it under the sides. And we got a little bit over it. Super. There we go. Now we keep it moving. And as I said earlier, I use a popsicle stick because I just feel like it gives me more control. Some people use the silicone brush. Some people use their fingers. Of course, with gloves on. But I prefer the popsicle stick. I don't have to touch the epoxy. All right, now that we got the sides, I'm going to go through and do the middle. I kind of spread it out because I want to give an even coat. Again, the epoxy is self-leveling, so it will find itself. But I like to do this so that I'm just not hawking epoxy onto it. And it's so warm in here that this epoxy is like water. It's gonna spread. And so I just help it along its way. And then after we get it, where it needs to be or how it needs to be, make sure that it's covering every part of our picture. And again, this is another reason why I use the waterproof sticker paper, because it does not smudge. This is freshly printed tonight. Took it right out of the printer, slapped it right on here. And you see I'm rubbing over it with the stick and none of my image is smudging at all. I actually had a lighter that I did this waterproof sticker paper with, and it went through an entire wash cycle with hot water and came out perfect. Like, you couldn't even tell it had been in the washing machine. The picture was perfect. The ink didn't run at all. And it went through an entire wash cycle. So I love this paper. Like I said, I use it for everything. I'm just going through filling in spots where I see that I'm missing something. And then we're going to degas it. And then go back and make sure that we still got everything. Once we degas it and we're moving it around. And we will be degassing with my Chandler. It gets a lot of use, y'all can see that. My Chandler heating tool. I love this thing. They make it in pink. I actually want one of these. So we're going to go around, and when you do this, you'll be able to see your bubbles just popping. They just start popping, popping, popping. And I especially want to concentrate in this black area because I don't want the little white bubbles to be on my black writing. I want it to be very, very smooth. And it looks like we got something in there. Something fell in our epoxy. Don't know what it is, but we're going to get it out. It's not supposed to be there, so we're going to go get it. I think I got it, so we won't do that stick anymore. Use that one. And again, when you're going through, you'll be able to see the bubbles. You can just see the bubbles disappear. Alright, so we're going to give that a little rest. I'm going to look for areas where epoxy may be missing. So I'm just going around the sides. And I see one little spot here. I'm going to go get it. And you can tell where it's missing because that particular spot won't be shiny. It'll be dull. Alright, we only have one little spot. So when we add, we have to go in and degas. Alright. So our diamond tray, we let that rest for a minute. And I'm trying to maneuver this all without messing up my work. We're gonna degas this one again. We let it rest. If there were any bubbles, we gave it time to rise to the top. And again, you just move keep them all level. You want to give it some time to rest so that the small bubbles can start coming back up to the surface. Like this one that we just did, even though I degassed it, we just got through degassing it, and we actually did it twice because we added some more. There's bubbles there that are starting to pop up now because they were under the surface. And so that's why I say don't just put the epoxy on and think that you're going to be able to walk away. Okay, so you have to give it some time, let those bubbles rise, and then you can go in and degas again. I would say watch your trays for about the first 30 minutes. At least if you can give an hour of just coming back and periodically checking, then that's great. But if not, if you're late night crafting like me, at least 30 minutes so that you can catch any bubbles. After at least that 30 minutes, most of your bubbles should be gone if you degas it well. And you'll notice that when you are degassing and you heat it up, it will get, it'll have that liquid form. We're just going to clean up a little bit. And also, what you can do to make sure that your epoxy is curing or to check if your epoxy is cured is this little bit that you have left in the cup. Leave it sitting there with the stick, and then you can go over and you can poke that epoxy. So because I did 3 trays, if you were going to do that test, you can leave the cup for each of the 3 trays with the stick, and then you can go and you can poke on that stick and see if the epoxy is sticky, see if it's actually starting to cure, and then you know that the epoxy on your tray is doing exactly what the epoxy in the cup is doing because it's from the same run. And I'm going to grab some waves. I always wipe off my epoxy bottles because sometimes when pouring, you get the stuff running off the side. Wherever you store it at, you don't want that to be super sticky. So we'll put that one there because we cleaned it off. Now I'm going to do the same for this one. Just in case you go to pick it up and you don't have gloves on, you don't get this stuff on your hands. Okay? Now we've let this one rest pretty good. So move y'all back over here. And I'm gonna do some more degassing. And I'm popping little bubbles. And there is something else in my epoxy. And I'm gonna have to go in there and get out. So what I like to do for that is I have these little bamboo skewers that I usually use as cupcake toppers. Got these from Amazon as well. I got 1,000 of these for like 10 bucks. And I'm gonna go in. That looks like glitter. Don't know where that came from. I swear glitter is crafting herpes. This is for a guy, so we don't want no glitter. And we got it. I don't know if y'all can see it. Probably not, but we got it. Now that we kind of messed with that area, we're going to go in and make it back smooth because we got a bubble that popped up already. All right. So I'm going to take my little torch. Usually I use my big torch and go over to get some of the little bubbles that the big one just doesn't catch. And sometimes you can look and you can see little areas where, oh, there's a bubble there, there's a bubble there. If you kind of step back and look at the tray from the side a little bit, you can look and you can see where there might be bubbles or find, like what I found, that little speck of glitter. Get it out of there. Because retail is detail, and if you're selling these, you want it to be as nice as possible. It is handmade, but you want it to look like something they got out of a store, my loves. And that way they always come back to you. The young lady I'm making this for is a return customer. She buys a lot of things from me. And I make sure that the product is good every single time so I can keep her business. Again, retail is detail. So I have to find another top to actually fit this one on, which I will do. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live. Y'all see my messy kitchen table back here. I'm getting ready to make some Uno games before I go to bed. Let me make sure I'm not Hey, Miss Angeline, girl, what you doing up? It's super late. I got stuff all over my face, y'all. Late night crafting, knocking orders down. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live. Somebody asked me, will it be a replay or will it stay up? The live will stay up. I'm not going to take it down. I am going to try to upload the video. God, what is all this in my face? I am going to try to upload the video where I'm just epoxying a tray, but you got to see it here tonight if you watch me on the live. I'm getting ready to go cut the stuff out for my Uno game. And so I will see you guys tomorrow. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that I do a Friday night live. I just started them back last Friday. And so tomorrow we're going to do some home decor. I'm going to show you guys how to take those little signs at Michael's that have the weird holiday writing on them or whatever, and take them and just take that writing off and make it into your own. You could either do it for a hobby, you could do it to sell, whatever the case may be. It's going to be like a piece of home decor. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow on the Gucci Crafts page on Facebook, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Cali time. I'll be on showing you guys how to work that, okay? So until then, I will see you, and happy crafting, you guys. Thank you for watching.